Hello users, and welcome to another episodic installation of Above It All. And I've got an interesting thread here from Chuck Modi on Twitter that describes the process of a bunch of protesters that are being raided in their houses and being arrested for, quote, inciting a riot and, quote, assaulting an officer. Now, I'm not sure if there's evidence of this, but let me just say, if a small, very, very skinny, thin, blue-haired teenager is capable of dealing any damage to assault an officer, then, by goodness golly, maybe that officer could maybe consider getting a pizza delivery job or running a hot dog stand, because seriously, they are not cut out to be a cop. So I got a little video here that I'm going to play. And one of the main reasons that this is so bizarre to me is that, we have mass murderers running through the street. I love the PlayStation shirt, by the way. I just want to, PlayStation's my favorite console. You know, I'm just throwing this out there. I got the whole thing over there. You got Mega Man X6. Sealed. I'm just throwing that out there, throwing this in there, extra content. But one of the things here that's bizarre is you've got people running through the streets, killing people, and cops are just ignoring them. You've got people, police, actually just beating the shit out of people. And they just go to work the next day. And yet, they're going to have the audacity to try and arrest someone for inciting a riot? And this is the thing that's bizarre about this, is that inciting a riot, I've showed videos of people asking, what's a riot? What does that mean? Define a riot? And cops just arrest them for asking a question. Isn't that interesting? Cops can at any point declare an unlawful assembly and at any point declare a riot. Do they declare riots when Trump caravans go through Portland and shoot innocent civilians with paintball guns? And pepper ball guns and bear mace innocent civilians? Nah, that's not a riot. But as soon as a teenager says Black Lives Matter on a megaphone, all of a sudden, batten down the hatches. Help! We're under attack! So here we have a little interview here.
Rubber bulleted us with no warnings to leave. The group that I was with was trying to slowly back out, and we ended up getting kettled inside. They're accusing me right now of assault on an officer and inciting a riot. The U.S. Marshals showed up at my house with a warrant for my arrest and then gained a search warrant while they were waiting for my entire apartment. So my apartment is trashed and I'm facing an eviction notice and yeah.
What do you mean facing an eviction notice?
There's a clause in my lease that my landlord put in that somewhere along the line that if something like this happens, he can evict for any reason.
Oh, so if someone's arrested, then they could be evicted.
Yeah.
Whether it's falsely arrested, they
yeah.
could falsely arrest you, and then it doesn't make a difference.
We actually, somebody heard him say to one of the neighbors, immediate eviction. So.
Wow, and then do you have other people living in the home?
Yeah, I have a partner and a roommate.
Okay. And to my understanding, their phones were taken or something?
So when the U.S. Marshals came in, they weren't allowed to have access to any of their electronics. They were trying to get a digital warrant. Apparently there's a difference between a physical warrant and a digital warrant. Mm-hmm. They were not able to get the digital warrant, so my roommates got all of their electronics back. But they did hold them for the entire day.
Isn't that interesting? That you can be held and questioned against your will because someone that lives with you, and you can be evicted because someone that lives with you went out and said Black Lives Matter on a megaphone. Maybe they weren't even on a megaphone. Maybe they just had a t-shirt. And all of a sudden, they're inciting a riot. The rioters and looters! Whoa, the rioters and looters! Give me a fucking break. Give me a fucking break. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. So here's another video.
The letter that Muriel Bowser wrote to the U.S. Attorney.
Yeah.
They're trying to recharge people with more accurate things so that way they can actually get something to stick. But so I don't even think that just the 14 are vulnerable to this. I think the 40 people that were arrested outside Adams Morgan's are just as
Vulnerable.
yeah, vulnerable.
And do you believe it, as you're saying, it's a response to Mayor Bowser imploring the U.S. District Attorney
Yeah.
to have harsher charges?
No, to have more, honestly, because I think felony of rioting was probably too vague. And so since they kept peddling the people that they couldn't stick it to, they're now changing the charges to try and get anything to stick.
Okay, so the new
So for those of you that don't know, kettling is a procedure where cops try to like box people in and then arrest them, and they'll basically just charge them with 15 trillion different things and then see which one actually happens, see which one even has a little grain of truth or a little grain of merit, and then they just blow it up and exacerbate it. It's absolutely absurd. It's absolutely absurd. But again, including using any fireworks that night to individually charge assault on an officer for using a firework. Absolutely hilarious.
This is what they're charging you with. The bold is the summary of all that. So I don't know if this was the original before, but this is what it is this time. The date of the warrant. You're going to get a copy of this. The date of the warrant and the judge's signature. And then the date that it was put into the computer system.
You can watch the rest of this video on your own time. It's a little low but I just want to say absolute solidarity with the PlayStation fan. Hell yes. But the thing that's interesting here is they will find any reason to charge people. Yet, you have murderous cops killing Breonna Taylor in Kentucky, and they haven't been charged. You have murderous cops shooting a 13-year-old autistic child in Salt Lake City. They haven't been charged. You see murderous cops kill people left and right every single day, and they haven't been charged. Yet someone who says Black Lives Matter on a megaphone, and I don't even know if they said that, all of a sudden, they just go throw the book at him. All of a sudden, Antifa terrorist, BLM terrorist. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. If you're telling me that this person looks like they're inciting riots, really? People keep saying, oh, the left, they're filled with soy. They're so weak, they can never do anything. And yet at the same time, they're assaulting police officers and inciting riots? Pick one. It's absurd. And it's hilarious. And the DC cops, especially, I used to live in DC, so I know this a little bit firsthand. The DC cops are especially garbage. They're especially absolute shit-for-brained garbage officers. And, again, there's not that much details here. Not that many details, rather. But it's just sickening to see them kind of just treat young people and teenagers like this when they won't even charge their fellow officers who blatantly violate the law. Then when they won't even fire fellow officers who blatantly break the law. There's so many officers that shoot people and kill people, and then they get like a 2-week paid vacation, and then they're back on the force and everything's cool. This is the world we live in, where the Constitution doesn't matter, where justice is never served, and where law and order is only applied to the vulnerable and never applied to the people with power.